Spring, summer, September, or Alaska, I hope somebody remembers to bring my clothes for my fashion show. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Rafael and I am here to review episode 16 of the Real Housewives with no fashions for their fashion shows of Atlanta. But before that, let me talk about the reason why I didn't get a chance to review last week's episode, but I did watch it. It was because I went on vacation back over to the East Coast. I'm originally from New Jersey. That's where my family and friends are. So I went over there to go see them. It's been almost 2 years since I've seen anybody. So it was really, really, really lovely to get to see them again and to be around them. I really needed that. You know, you get caught up in just doing everyday stuff that you forget that time, time exists and time just flies by. And when I realized, I'm like, wow, it's almost been 2 years. I need to get on the plane and I need to go see them. So it was nice to be around them and to catch up with my friends. I haven't seen them in forever. So it was nice to get along with them. I also went to New York. New York is also like in my backyard. I live close to it. So I was there too. And New York, New York to me personally is the best city in the world. I love, love, love New York. I've been there so many times again because I live close to it and I just love New York. I love the vibe. I love the people. I just love the rush of everything. I love everything fast paced, so it was a really nice time. But let me tell you one of the highlights to my trip. And no, I didn't get a chance to meet any of the housewives of New York. Or New Jersey, none of them. I should have gone to Melissa's store though, honestly. What's her store called? Scamming with Melissa, something like that. But no, so one of the highlights was there was a party in New York City, right? That my friend invited me to. We went and it was supposed to be a Renaissance album party, right? For Beyonce. So they were going to play all her entire album, like from the beginning all the way to the end. And I was so excited. And I'm like, okay, I want to experience this album in person, somewhere where, in public or whatever, because usually I just experience it in my car or in private or in the shower. But I wanted to experience it, with people. So I went there and when I tell y'all, first of all, Beyonce, you have some nerve. Beyonce, if you're watching this, you have some audacity and some nerve to make this album so damn good. Like, I'm telling you, it's a whole different vibe of you listening to the album by yourself in your headphones, whatever. But it's a whole different vibe listening to it at a party with a bunch of people and strangers and just dancing together. Like, that is a whole different vibe. Every song was just so good to dance to, except one song. I'm sorry, Beyonce, but I am not a fan of the song. I believe it's called All Up in Your Mind. Yeah, that kind of threw off the whole vibe at the party. I'm like, yeah, this is kind of like, I mean, I still, you can still dance to it, but, we could skip that one. But, as for all the other songs, so good. My favorite song off the album is Heated. But surprisingly, the song that really got me was called Virgo's Groove. So when Virgo's Groove came on, you would have thought that the people, in charge of YouTube messaged me personally and was like, you need to dance like your life depends on it or else your channel is being shut down. Because the way I was dancing, you would have thought that they were going to give me money. Like that song, I don't know what it was, but that song really brought out like a whole different side of me. I really, truly enjoy Virgo's Groove. I think right now, I don't know. I like I said, Heated is my personal favorite song off the album, but I don't know. Virgo's Groove is it's a close second, but it was such a good time. After the whole party was over, you should have seen how I was sweating. You would have thought that somebody like threw like a bucket of oil on me. The way I was just dripping in sweat. It was so gross. It was so disgusting, but it was so worth it because again, everybody was having fun. Everybody was dancing. It was such a good time. So, I can only imagine how Beyonce's tour is going to be because, again, if it's anything like how it was that night, it was really fun. But yeah, the whole trip itself, y'all, it was really, really fun. I had a really good time. I just got back and I was just so exhausted. I was really sleepy. Like, it was nonstop. Go. And again, it was a nice time. I miss my family. I miss my friends already, but it is what it is. And I did watch the last episode that I did in review, and Kandi and Marlo, they made up because of a bucket of KFC chicken? Okay then, all right then, fine, whatever works for them. And as for, what's her name, Sanya and Kenya, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But on to the review. We start the episode off with Kandi and her son Ace going to one of his acting classes, and I actually enjoy seeing him getting out there in front of the actual acting coaches to get some help. And yes, he was stumbling his lines here and there, but practice makes perfect. At least he's trying. Kandi, she's sitting on the sideline. She's so excited. She's like,
well, I'm so excited that Ace is finally gonna be an actor, so you know me. I need to help him the best of my ability, and I need to practice with him and get his audition taped, and that's why we're taking these acting classes. And I believe on her show on YouTube,
speak on it. She actually said that Ace is actually, he's already booked for some show online or on TV or something like that. So I'm looking forward to see what he's actually gonna be in. We head over to Marlo's house where she's cleaning up Michael and William's room all of a sudden because they're supposed to move back in tomorrow. The 30 days are up, so they're supposed to move back in with Marlo. Marlo, all of a sudden, she's like, oh, well, you know, I'm not even gonna lie. I actually really do miss my babies. I really do miss them. I'm so glad that they're coming back home. And I'm like, it would have been so interesting, Marlo, if you had the same energy and same emotion 30 days ago before you, what, in your own words, kick them the fuck out of your own house. But okay, so then she calls her sister Crystal. Crystal gives a brief rundown on how Michael and William were at her house, and she's like, yeah, they didn't want to do anything. They didn't want to wash dishes. They just laid in bed. And I'm like, not you too, Crystal. We already had your sister Marlo already talking bad about the boys for 400 episodes straight. Now we have you two joining the bandwagon? Like, what is this, genetics? So at the same time, the other part of me is like, well, Crystal's only one person. There's just but so much help that she could actually offer to the two boys without having to go back to the other four kids. If we remember, before Michael and William came over, she also had 4 other kids that she had to take care of. So, you know, it's a lot for one person. Marlo, she's like, well, don't worry, Crystal. I actually hired somebody that's going to keep both Michael and William on the right track, so don't worry about it. On top of that, me, Michael, and William, we're actually going to go see therapy. And I'm like, what a concept, Marlo. It's almost like this is what you should have done before the 30 days that you kicked them out. It's almost like this is what you should have done to begin with. But okay, you know, better late than never, I suppose. So she tells Crystal, well, you know, I'm really looking forward to seeing the boys. I'll see them in 5 days. And then Crystal's like, no, it's tomorrow. Marlo's like, you know, 5 days. I'm like, what happened, Marlo? I thought you missed them. What happened? We head over to Drew's house where she's still recovering from her foot injury back in Jamaica. She's laying on the couch. She's sleepy. She's drowsy. She doesn't really have a lot of energy because she's under a lot of heavy medication. So who shows up to her house to make her feel better? Sheree. She shows up, followed by Sanya. Sanya looks so good in that yellow dress. The hair was right. The look was right. Everything about her look was right. I'm like, Sanya, where are we going after this? I mean, are we going to the nightclub, a party? Where are we going? And where's my invitation? She was too ready, but they sit down to lift Drew's spirits or to be messy because the second that they sit down, Sheree's like, Drew, are you feeling any better? Are you healing properly? Do you need me to do anything for you? Do you want a She by Sheree shirt? So Sanya, let's talk about you versus Kenya in Jamaica. I'm like, Sheree, can we ease into that conversation first? We obviously see that your friend Drew over here is falling apart on the couch. She's barely awake. She needs help. Let's talk about her feelings and her wants first. But okay, let's talk about Sanya versus Kenya, right? I didn't get a chance to review the last episode because I was on vacation, but I did get a chance to watch it. And that last dinner scene between Sanya and Kenya was so embarrassing on Sanya's part because Sanya, she initiated the conversation with Kenya by saying, what's up, Kenya? What's up? And I'm thinking, those are fighting words. So obviously she's not playing around with Kenya, but then after that, it fell flat. Kenya was too quick for Sanya. She ran circles around her, no pun intended. And Kenya was like, give me some examples of when I've been disrespectful to you. Sanya, what did she do? She was just like, give me a second. Let me think. Like, no, Sanya, that's so embarrassing. And especially dealing with Kenya because Kenya is fast with her words. And if you give her any type of chance, she's just going to roll all over you. And that's exactly what she did to you in Jamaica. Had you looking like a fool at the dinner table. Like, let me think. Like, no, Sanya, you're quick on the track field. You need to be quick with your words. Like, come on now. Like, if you want to come back for next season. So Sheree pushes it further by telling her, well, you do know that Kenya called your husband Ross aggressive when he got up out his seat and he told everybody, oh, don't fuck with my wife. Now, the whole situation is pretty sticky because I get both sides. I get Kenya, but I also more so get Sanya because Sanya said, well, my husband is a black man and I don't like anybody using those words, those negative stereotypical words on black people, aggressive on a black man, because then it paints them out to be something that they're not. But I also want to be understanding of Kenya and her feelings because she was the one that was sitting across from Ross at that dinner table, not us. We only got to see him get up and say, oh, don't fuck with my wife. We don't know what she saw or what she experienced right then and there in front of Ross for her to say, oh, that he's aggressive. So again, the whole situation is sticky. Maybe she could have used a different word. And I said it before, I had no issue with Ross stepping in and defending his wife, Sanya, because Sheree and Kenya, they were doing too much. They were ganging up on Sanya, and Sanya was kind of like a deer in headlights caught off guard while both of them were just yelling at her. And by me saying that I agree with Ross stepping in for Sanya, I don't mean him calling both Sheree and Kenya out their names or cursing them out or standing about his seat or hovering over them. None of that, because that'd be a huge no. What he should have done from the very beginning, instead of saying, don't fuck with my wife and getting out his seat, he should have just simply told Kenya and Sheree, look, I get that both of you are mad with my wife right now. You're both upset with her and everything, but I don't like the whole yelling against my wife. It's like a 2-on-1. How about both of you just regroup and take 5 minutes to yourself? Sanya, you as well. You take 5 minutes to yourself and you come and regroup, and maybe all three of you can have a conversation without having to yell at each other. Specifically, a 2-on-1 issue with my wife, something like that. You know, instead of getting up out your seat because now Kenya is looking at Ross like, he's aggressive. So then Sanya let Sheree hype her up and put a battery in her back, and now all of a sudden Sanya has this courage to confront Kenya on the phone. She's like, I'm gonna call her right now and I'm gonna give her a piece of my mind, obviously through the phone, right? Because in person, she can't do that. So she calls up Kenya and she's like, hold on, Sheree, hold on. I'm gonna give her a piece of my mind. Just wait. I'm gonna earn my peach for next season. Just wait, hold on. What's her number? 1-800-KENYA? Okay. Yeah. Hold on, Sheree. I'm gonna give her a piece of my mind. Give me 1 second. Oh, please don't pick up the phone. You're gonna embarrass me again, Kenya. I can't put up with you anymore. Please don't pick up the phone.
Hi.
Hey, Kenya. How are you? Hey, it's Sanya. You know Sanya Richards?
Who?
You know Sanya, the new peach holder? Well, regardless, that's not the point. I was just calling. Wait, are you sleeping right now? Maybe I should call you tomorrow. Oh, okay, well, first of all, I just wanted to talk about some comments that I heard that you made about my husband, Ross. I didn't really like it, and I thought it was pretty mean. Do you think that you could take that back?
What? What comments?
Yeah, hold on. I'm giving her a piece of my mind right now, Sheree. Just wait. I'm gonna put her in her place. Wait. What do you mean you don't remember? What do you mean? Hold on, Kenya. Give me 1 second, sweetie. Sheree, pass me my script over there. Yeah, pass me my script. Hold on. Page 62. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I got my... Hey, Kenya, are you there? What's wrong? The cat has your tongue? The cat has your tongue now, Kenya? Why can't you speak now, huh? Oh, I hope I'm doing good. Am I doing good, Sheree? Am I doing good? Do you like it? Okay. Well, I just want you to know that, yeah, I don't like those comments, so please don't use them again, okay? Let this be the last time, okay? Yeah. Okay, well, have a lovely night, Kenya, okay? I hope you have a good night's sleep and get some rest, okay, sweetie? I miss you. I'll see you soon, okay? Bye, Kenya. Good night kisses. Say hi to Brooklyn for me. Bitch. Yeah, I told her, right, Sheree? I'm like, Sanya, please, you said it after you hung up on Kenya. Now, what are we supposed to do with that? Are we supposed to be impressed? Like, oh, you called her a bitch after you hung up on her. I would have gave you maybe 2 points if you would have called her that while she was still on the phone. But no, you do it over the phone. And again, you don't keep the same energy in person with Kenya because, again, she'll put you in your place with words, simply just words alone. And you can't put up with her the same way that you do with Drew. With Drew, again, you had all this fire, you had all this heat for Drew all season long to the point where you had almost came to blows with her in face-to-face in person. But yet with Kenya, all of a sudden you fold so easily, and you prove it later on in the episode when you kind of confront Kenya about this whole situation in person, and then you kind of become playful with it like you have done with all your other interactions. I mean, you try. I'll give you half a point for that. You try. But you keep failing over and over and over. And again, this whole scene was just so cringy. It was so desperate. It made Sanya look like such a tryhard because you know that you would never, ever call Kenya a bitch to her face. So why even try to do it on the phone? So now if Kenya sees this and at the reunion, she tells you, so Sanya, you called me a bitch on the phone after we hung up. What was that about? Are you going to tell her then and there like, oh yeah, I meant that because I didn't like your comments? Or are you just going to backpedal and say, oh, I'm sorry, I meant to call you beautiful? Like, I could already see her now, like, hold on, give me some time to come up with an excuse. Like, Sanya, come on now. Like, it's just so insane because I really wanted to like Sanya from the very beginning. I really wanted to love her because I thought she was such, good energy. But it's just like, oh, Sanya, what are we doing now? Meanwhile, Drew is sitting there, and Drew is all of us. Drew is just like, yeah, I'm just gonna let Sanya embarrass herself. So then we head over to this bridal store where Sheree has hired somebody to help her out with the casting of models for her fashion show with no fashion for her fashion line. She's struggling to make it happen by Sheree. Sheree, she's pulling up. She's greeting all the fans, all the paid actors. I mean, all the models who are waiting outside, right? Sheree, she goes inside and she meets with the person she hired, and her name is Rowan. Rowan, whoo, she came in hot this episode. She was like, I'm going to prove why I need a peach for next season. So they meet up, right? Kenya, she comes in, and this is where it gets interesting. Kenya, she's already feeling some type of way. She's like, yeah, I don't really like that Sheree. She's being a bone collector, and she's telling Sanya everything I said about Ross. I really don't like that. But you know what? I'm here to help her out with her struggling clothing line, so why not? So she meets Rowan, and already from the beginning, you could already tell that there's some type of tension. And people want to say that, Kenya was the one that threw the first blow, and she was the one that started it by being rude. But I don't know. Rowan had this aura to her that she came off like she had some type of attitude or whatever. You could tell in her face expression or something. Her whole demeanor was just like, I don't really want to be here. And I'm not sure if Sheree is paying her or not, but who knows? But regardless, Kenya's like, so Rowan, can you please tell Sheree why I'm not the face of the whole casting poster or whatever? How come my face? How come I'm not modeling for it? Like, can you please tell her? Because so many people would have showed up. All of a sudden, Rowan was just like, this ain't Phaedra. She was like, well, my client, Sheree, not you, but Sheree Whitfield. Sheree, even though she's paying me $2 an hour, she told me that she wanted to make this like a down low type of casting. And I'm like, what kind of a down low casting? What kind of thing is that? Is that a new gay club? Like, what is going on here? A download casting. I have never heard of that. Like, she wants to be secretive about it. And she was like, she doesn't really want a lot of people to know about this. And I'm like, so are we never going to get some type of fashion show with people? Like, I can only imagine Sheree. This is what she means by a download casting. Please make it to my casting in Atlanta at this address, but don't tell anybody. Like, is that what she mean? I'm not understanding what that meant, but regardless, they sit down. Kenya, the second issue that she had was the couch placement. She was like, Rowan, I don't really get why we're sitting like this. The couch should be facing that way so we could see the actual models actually walk the runway. Maybe we'll get a better view. Rowan, she was just like, okay, you think I'm Portia, huh? Yeah, no, this is how I run my business, my own business. Yeah, I'm Sheree's, assistant or whatever. So you mind your business, but this is how I run it. Kenya, of course, Kenya being Kenya, she's quick with her words. She was like, so you're doing it the wrong way. See, after that comment, I'm sorry, but if I was Rowan, I would have been like, you know what, Sheree, can you hold this clipboard? Kenya, let's meet outside. Like, Kenya tried it. So then I believe Kenya was just like, Sheree, like, what are we doing here? Like, we need actual models here. Like, what's going on here? Sheree is hilarious without even trying. Sheree was just like, models? Like, actual bodies? Like, what does Sheree want? Like, a bunch of mannequins or something? Like, to put the clothes on? Like, what's going on here? And then Rowan's just like, Rowan is somewhere over there doing something or whatever. Then this is where she also throws in a little shady comment. She was like, oh, well, if you want models, you need an actual budget for that. And I'm like, ooh. Kenya was just like, ooh. The whole scene was hilarious. I'm like, wow, Andy, Bravo, whoever, get Rowan onto next season. Bring her and a friend or somebody from her family or whatever and bring them onto the show. We need her. Replace her with Sanya. At this point, because I'm interested in her backstory. So then Sheree was just like, well, I don't really have the budget for that. And I'm like, Sheree, you don't really have the budget for anything, honestly. And I'm still trying to figure out if anybody could really answer this for me. How is Sheree paying for that big ass house of hers? Like, what does she do on a daily basis? I mean, she's walking around here in Louis Vuitton and all these name brand clothing or whatever. But what does she do for money exactly? Like, I'm not understanding. But Rowan was just like, oh, well, to hire models, we'll get they'll probably be like $200, $300 a day or whatever. Sheree, she's just like, yeah, I don't really know if I have the budget for that. And honestly, Sheree, look, I'm going to give you some advice because this is an idea that I think that would have really, really, really worked with your She by Sheree fashion show. What you should have done is hired a bunch of housewives from different cities throughout the franchise and have them all come together for your fashion show to model your clothing. That would have been such a cool idea. All the fans would have been like, ooh, I'm invested in this. I want to see what this fashion show is about. You should have even sold tickets to the audience so they could see their favorite housewives. Like, imagine you have Potomac right there in New York. Well, maybe not the New York housewives, but you had New Jersey housewives right there. The Miami housewives, they're all close to each other. You could have just easily flown them out and have them all come to Atlanta. Like, imagine if you had maybe Giselle or even Robin with her hat. Maybe not Juan because Juan is not going to show up with her, but you could have had Robin show up there. You could have had Mia, Candace. You could have honestly had the whole Potomac housewives. You could have had Teresa, maybe even Margaret, Melissa. Oh, maybe not Melissa. You could have had Jennifer from Jersey, Garcelle from Beverly Hills, Kyle. Who else on that cast that is not a trash bag? You could have had even Sutton. Well, maybe not Sutton because Sutton doesn't really know how to dress. But you could have had Garcelle and Kyle come to your Atlanta show from Miami. You could have had, who's in Miami? I'm not too fresh with that cast. But you could have had somebody from Miami. Who else? You could have just had so many options. You could have even hired Chanel Ayan. Well, maybe she's out of the budget because she's in Dubai. But, you could have at least FaceTimed her or something. You could have even had the wives' husbands come out and support your men's clothing line and have them model it. For example, you could have had Joe from Jersey, even though nobody wants to see him. But he would have been a good addition for the kids section, the kids' clothing. We would have had Peter, Patricia Thomas. He would have been a good addition too. He shows up to anything. We could have had Juan from Potomac, Robin's husband. He would have came and he would have brought Michael with him. So it would have been a 2-for-1 special. We could have had Jamal, Giselle's on and off again husband, whatever he is to her. But then again, is he coming? Probably not. Who else could have came? But there was just so many options. There were so many different ways that you could have went with this. But, maybe for next time, Sheree, just contact me. Slide into my DMs and we'll talk. You have to pay me, though, because I don't do it for free. So Rowan, Sheree, and Kenya sit down to watch the models come and walk for them, right? And one by one, they're all coming in, they're all walking, but they're all disappointed by them because they don't reach the height requirement. They're all like 5'9" and lower, and I'm not sure like what the height requirement is. But I mean, if I was there, if I would have known about this, but this was a down low casting thing, so I would have never known. But if I was in Atlanta, I would have came. I'm 5'11", so I don't know. I think that makes the cut. And if it doesn't, I would have wear some platform shoes or something. I would have been in there like, yes, give me face, Raphael, give me face. Hold on, I'm walking. Hey, Sheree, hey, Kenya. Kenya, can me and you take a picture? Yeah, okay, we'll do it after. Take the walk, now pose. Now pose. Now serve face. Make me hate the camera. Sheree would have hired me, but she probably would have paid me. But regardless, they're there, and I believe Kenya, she told one of the models, can you write down your contact information on your picture, one of your portrait pictures? Here, do it for me. Rowan, why did she even do that in front of Rowan? Because Rowan was not having it. She was like, my assistant already has all their information. Thank you. You don't have to do that. Kenya was just like, anyway, skirt. She was like, here, write down your information anyway. Like, Kenya, oh, this is the Kenya that I miss. That season 5, season 6 Kenya. That really gets underneath your skin, Kenya. So Rowan, she fires back at Kenya, and she's like, well, whatever makes you feel better, I guess. So Kenya, again, being Kenya, she fires back at her. She's quick with it, right? She was like, yeah, well, this is making me feel better. So, okay, so Rowan, again, I was so impressed because she kept volleying back and forth. I'm like, you see, Sanya, take some notes because this is how you do it. You don't sit there just like, let me think. No, you have to be quick with it like Rowan. Rowan was just like, well, okay, whatever. I mean, congratulations to you. Kenya was just like, yeah, congratulations to me. Rowan was just like, yay, confetti, woo. Now, this is the type of petty that we need on the Atlanta Housewives. Somebody who could actually take Kenya on because they kept going back and forth like tit for tat. And I'm like, finally, somebody who could finally stand toe-to-toe with Kenya. I mean, I don't know how it'll turn out in the long run, but obviously, she's obviously a Portia fan. And Sheree, she's just sitting there uncomfortable like, I still need models. Sheree had the nerve the other day to tweet out saying, oh, does everybody have their credit card ready? I'm like, oh, Sheree, I have my credit card ready too, but to spend it on something else. No, but I'm here to support Sheree. Like I said, I really, really hope that her fashion show with no fashion does have fashions next week and it's a success. Then we head over to Ralph and his photo shoot that he's doing for his book that somebody's buying apparently. And I was looking at his outfit and I'm like, wait a minute, is he wearing a corset? Is he going for that BBL look or something? Like, what's going on here? But no, it's just part of his suit. It looked cute. It was a cute photo shoot. Drew and her mom are there as well. And they start talking to Ralph about, oh, why are you not adopting Josiah? Are you going to adopt him eventually in the future? Like, what's going on here? The same conversation that they've been having all season long. And at first, I remember a couple of reviews ago, I was on team Drew and her mom, like, why are you not doing this? And my excuse was, well, maybe Ralph is not doing this because he knows, or he probably figures later on down the line when him and Drew eventually come to a divorce or something happens, he doesn't want to be legally bind to Drew or her child or their child on paper. Like, oh, I don't want to be legally his guardian or his father. So maybe that was his reason why. But after reading the comments in my review, I actually thought, well, wait a minute, there's much more to it than just signing your name and saying, well, here's my signature, boom, that's it, I'm the guardian, I'm the mom or the dad, that's that, we're moving on. No, there's much more to it. So, now looking back on it and seeing everybody's opinion on it and seeing how it's broken down, yeah, I kind of have to side on Ralph on this one for once. And I feel like he's actually doing the right thing for once. Maybe he wasn't doing the right thing in Tampa, but in this situation, yeah, I kind of side with Ralph. And Drew and her mom, yeah, they need to kind of lay off a little bit because they keep trying to force this to happen. It's not like Ralph is trying to, purposely like not do it at all. He actually is respecting Josiah's biological father's wishes by saying, well, wait a minute, I'm still trying to have a relationship with him. Can you please like lay off a little bit? It's not like he's telling him, oh, no, I don't want you to do that. And then he's somewhere over there hiding in the shadows away from Josiah. He's trying to build a relationship with Josiah and trying to be there with him. And that's doing a lot more than a lot of dads here in the world, because a lot of dads nowadays, they don't even want to spend time with their kids. They pretend that they don't exist. They're like, yeah, I have a kid, but you know what? I'm going to ignore them all my life. And then later on when they get older, then I'll reach out. But other than that, no, at least he's actually trying to do something about it. No matter how small or big it is, at least as an attempt to move forward with his son. So at least Drew and her mom, they could at least appreciate that at least both her ex-husband and her now husband, or whatever he is to her, Ralph, at least they're trying to have a relationship and trying to come to some type of agreement for her son. That's something that Ralph is doing that I have to, again, commend for that. And again, Drew and your mom, you two just need to lay off a little bit. Ralph is actually doing something good here. We head back over to Marlo's house where Michael and William are back in her house. For now, one of them is doing Spanish homework on the counter with her assistant. Marlo's walking around with a cup and she's like, so, how's everything? I'm so glad that you're here. How's everything? Are you doing Spanish homework? Wow, I'm so proud of you. Wow. So I believe it was either Michael and William. Michael and William, they're both come down, right? They're both in the kitchen with Marlo. Marlo's telling them, so, how do both of you feel about being back in my house? How's everything? Oh, but by the way, William, don't forget to go eat. I got some pizza over there. Yes, there's some pizza over there. Get some food. Yeah, get some food. But how do both of you feel being back in my house? So both of them are like, we feel okay about it. We feel fine, but we don't know yet, because now Marlo, she enforced these rules that you have to take a shower, you have to do this, you have to clean up, you have to do everything. She also said that they took a shower for like an hour a piece when they came back to the house. And then, again, there's still some tension between them because I know that they probably feel some type of way that Marlo, they're on. They thought that, this woman cared for us or whatever when our own mom wasn't there for us. She kicked us out the house for 30 days. So how are we supposed to feel about that? According to Marlo, she already talked to Michael and William and she already discussed why she had to kick them the fuck out of her house and have them move in with her sister, Crystal. But I kind of wish that we would have had that scene on camera. She already put them on blast every other episode. Why does this change anything else? One little scene between all three of you discussing why they had to leave wouldn't have hurt. I would have liked to see Marlo actually give some type of explanation and broke it down. Like, look, this is what I meant, this, and this, and this is this and this. But no, all we remember is you saying, I had to kick them the fuck out of my house. That's all we remember, Marlo. So, kudos to you, I guess, for having them back in your house. For now, like I said. So then she also tells them, so what do we have to do around here to get your phone back? Because now they both have flip phones. And I'm like, flip phones? They still make flip phones? But all right, then she probably got them from the archive. But they're like, we have to behave. We have to do our homework. We have to do all this. We have to wash up and everything, blah, 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 to get our phone back. And that's that. So Marlo's like, so how do you feel being back in my house? Do you feel good? They're like, no, we don't. And I'm like, oh, that's awkward. She probably expected them like, wait, you're going off script. You're going off script. You're supposed to say, yes, what are you doing? You're saying, no, what's going on? So they're like, yeah, no, we don't feel some type of way. It's cool that we're back in the house and we could shower now whenever we want. We got our own bed. But other than that, yeah, we still feel some type of way. So hopefully this is the end of the whole, Marlo and her nephew situation. And we probably never hear from it again. And hopefully they're okay now moving forward. We head back over to Drew's house where her and Sheree had came up with this idea to have a joint birthday party for Marlo and Kenya. Because if either one of them knew that the party was for one or the other, they wouldn't come. So they tricked them into coming to the same place together, but they didn't tell them. So Sheree, she arrives. Drew, she's scooting around in her scooter. Where's your scooter? And Sheree, she's looking around at all the decorations. The balloons were nice. The food looked good. There's a DJ over there in the corner, right? It looked cute, right? It looked better than Sanya's birthday party that she threw for Sheree. So then eventually Drew's just like, oh, here's your invoice, right? Like, here's the receipt or whatever, since we're going half or whatever for the whole event. Sheree's looking at the paper like, nope, I never agreed to this. And mind you, the total is like $1,400, right? Yeah, I'm not saying that that's not a lot of money, but, to Sheree, it should mean nothing. But then again, we have been seeing her struggles this entire episode, so it means something. But, Sheree's like, no, I'm not paying for this. When did I agree to balloons? No, this is a birthday party? She probably just thought that she was showing up as a guest, but no, you and Drew came up with this idea. And she's like, oh, I'm not paying for another bitch's idea. Like, no, this is your bright idea, not mine. And I'm like, but we just saw a floating confessional from you a second ago saying that, yeah, me and Drew came up with this idea, so now you want to put it all on Drew. Next thing you know, the Bravo editors, they are so shady. A bubble pops up in between them, and it's Drew's assistant, from episodes ago at the beginning of the season. And he pops up to say, yeah, Sheree doesn't like to pay anybody. I'm like, Bravo, you didn't have to do that. We know. But Sheree, she's throwing a fit. She's like, I'm not doing this. Even as of now, both Drew and Sheree are going back and forth on Twitter about this whole situation, and they're blowing it out of proportion. Sheree, she's posting pictures or whatever. I'm like, Sheree, it's $1,400. If you were really petty, you should have been like, you know what, Drew? I'm going to pay the $1,400, but I'm going to double it just because you're being annoying. Here's your money. That's that. If you were really that bitch. But, obviously you're not Giovanna, so whatever. So then Sheree, she gets a phone call. She gets to the side. I believe it was one of her assistants giving her what? More bad news. And she's like, yeah, Sheree, your clothing line, yeah, it's falling apart. I think that you want to reschedule or change your name or go to a different country for like 3 months or something in the meantime so people could forget about this because it's going to be embarrassing. And Sheree's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, no, this cannot happen again. Dwight is going to be there. They're like, yeah, you know, all the pieces that you ordered or whatever, some of them are cute, you know, some of them are really nice. We got them and all, but then the other ones, yeah, those are questionable because I don't think that you ordered them, and some of the pieces that you actually ordered, they're not here, they're not available. And I'm like, not again, Sheree. Like, come on. And you know, Sheree, she does a good job at like keeping that poker face on camera, you know, because she knows that she's being filmed. So if she sees her, if she knows that she's about to have a breakdown or something is pissing her off that somebody is saying about her She by Sheree line, she's not going to react to that because she already knows that the audience or online are going to clown her like, oh, Sheree, look what's going on again with your line. So she keeps it together really well for the cameras as of now. But hopefully, you know, this is just a play. And next week when we finally see the show with, you know, fashions, hopefully it's better off and it's not like this huge disaster. Hopefully. The guests start showing up to the party. Sanya's the first one, followed by
Kandi.
Sheree. She starts talking to them about her She by Sheree line, and she's like, well, you know, Mike, I just got a call from my assistant, and they actually said that some of my pieces, they got lost in transition or whatever. They're somewhere in Alaska. And I'm like, Alaska? Like, Sheree, come on now. Like, are you serious? Again, going back to the poker face. She says it so seriously that you don't know if she's lying or not. Obviously, she is, because Alaska, like, why are your clothes, first of all, why are your clothes coming from over there in the first place? I mean, I don't know much about, you know, how shipping works, but Alaska, like, who's sending your clothes off? Like, Santa Claus? Kandi, she goes on to say in her confessional,
Alaska? Why are your clothes coming from Alaska in the first place? I don't understand, Sheree. You need to come up with better excuses because that's not a really good one.
and I'm like, yeah, Alaska, Sheree, okay, but we'll go with the flow of that, right? So I believe the next guest is Kenya's cousin. She pops up, and I'm like, okay, we got a family member. I believe the next round of guests is, what's her name? Marlo's friends. It's 3 of them, and I'm like, okay, so what happens if Marlo and Kenya were to get into it? Are they gonna also jump in? Is it gonna be a 4 versus 1? What's going on? Or do they just have no loyalty and they're just like, okay, we're mutual? They're probably Kenya fans anyway. But then we see, speaking of Kenya shows up, right? Marlo, she's right behind her. They're pulling up in their cars. Kenya, she's getting out. She's walking up to the door. She knocks on the door. Ralph opens it. She goes in it, right? Marlo, she's like 2 feet away from her. And what does Kenya do? She closes the door right behind her. So rude and so disrespectful, so nasty and so rude. She pulled a Nene Leakes back at the hotel, you know, the pillow talk party where Kenya popped up, and Nene was like, oh, hey, oh, close. Close the door in her face. Marlo, she's in the back. She's like, wait, I know that Kenya saw me because I was right behind her. I'm like, oh, Marlo, it was a petty thing to do to you. But I mean, you've been petty to Kenya as well. And you said some really foul things to her too. So I mean, tit for tat, it is what it is. But I will say, you did look the best at this birthday party because your look, the pink look that she had on, so good. The boots, the outfit, the pants, the jacket, the hair, everything about Marlo's look, so good. Everybody sits down at the dinner table, and one of Marlo's cousins, she gets up to make a toast. And I'm like, okay, let's see. She's about to throw some shade to Kenya. She's Team Marlo. She's about to say something about Kenya. We're about to get a fight, right? Let's see what happens. She gets up and she puts a little toast up, and she's like, okay, so I want to make a toast to Marlo and Kenya. Kenya, you're my favorite. Oh, you're so iconic. I love when you came onto the show, season 5. But everybody, I want to make a toast to both of you. I really hope that both of you really stop fighting. You know, Kenya, I tell Marlo all the time to stop fighting against you because she's gonna lose. You are such a quick-witted housewife. I love you. Can I get your signature after? You know, after the camera's done. Okay, well, we'll take a picture too, okay? I'll tag you on Instagram. But yeah, let's make a toast to both of them. I love both of them equally. I love Kenya more. Cheers. And I'm like, absolutely not. If I was Marlo, I would have grabbed my cousin so quickly, like, get the fuck down here. Why are you making... Hey, Kenya, why are you making a toast about her? She's my enemy. Yeah, no, I'm just talking to her about some family stuff. Yeah, I can't believe this. Get your ass out of here. We're not cousins anymore. Like, no, if I don't like the bitch, you don't like the bitch either. Don't try to, like, you know, be all like, oh, you know, all of a sudden we have to be best friends now. No, you have to be on my side. If I don't like her, you don't have to like her either for no reason. But okay, so regardless, they get down to it. I believe Drew, she's like, okay, I want to make everybody friends here, you know, between Kenya and Marlo. I just want both of you to stop with this drama thing. You know, I want both of you to get along. Kenya's like, yeah, I feel like this whole thing is like an intervention. It's not really a birthday party. And yes, that's exactly what it was. It was an intervention. Marlo, of course, she wants to play the victim. She's like, you really hurt me to the core. You have said some really hurtful things about me. And, you know, I'm willing to look past all of it because I'm trying to be your friend moving forward. But you're always attacking me for no reason. And I'm like, Marlo, for no reason, cutting to the core. And what do? You cut to the core as well. You and Kenya are probably the same person. Kenya, she's like, no, let's go back 6 years ago when you said that even my own mother didn't love me. And Marlo's like, oh, here we go again. Why are you bringing that add up. That's so old. And no, Marlo, something like that, no matter if it's 10, 20, 15 years ago, it doesn't matter. Something like that is really hurtful. Something like that is unforgivable in my eyes. So the fact that Kenya is even trying to move forward with you and trying to look past it in some type of capacity, I'll give her points for that, because absolutely not. I wouldn't do it. I'll be like, yeah, Marlo, we'll stay cordial to each other from a distance, but no. And on top of that, those flashbacks of Kenya, I completely forgot that she said, oh, you have a square reader between your legs. Damn, Kenya. I had completely forgot how ruthless the old Kenya could be, because now all of a sudden she's nice and she's playful with everybody. But, we all remember how Kenya used to be. Marlo uses Brooklyn and Mark against Kenya in an argument to try to hurt her. Unlike Kenya, she only goes after Marlo and Marlo only as a person, instead of going after her nephews, her family, her assistants, her mom, whatever, right? She goes after her only. So Marlo, it'd be a whole different argument if you went after Kenya the same way and you only attacked her and her only. But no, you go after the two people that you know that is going to do something to her emotionally. So what do you expect? You just expect like, oh, I'm sorry. It was just an argument. I didn't mean it like that, and move forward. No, you go below the belt, just like Kenya does as well. But at least with her, she doesn't bring multiple people in your life or whatever into the argument the same way that you do. So after Drew just told everybody at the dinner table to hold hands and to make a truce and to, be peaceful, then she decides to be messy. I'm like, what's going on here? You can't be both at the same time, Drew. But she's like, oh, I came up with this game. I believe it's called Below the Belt. So we're gonna put out scenarios, and you're gonna tell us what you will do in those scenarios. So the first one obviously was about Sanya and Kenya. She's like, oh, so what would you do if somebody in the group called your husband aggressive? Obviously, Kenya's just waiting for Sanya to say something. And this is what I was talking about earlier, how Sanya, she doesn't keep the same energy in person that she did on the phone, or at least after she hung up on Kenya, because Sanya's like, who is she talking about? I'm like, Sanya, she's talking about you. She's talking about you. What's going on here? Then Sanya's like, oh, that's my cue. That's my cue. And then she gets up and, again, so embarrassing. Sanya gets up and she's like, bitch, you wish that you had a husband like me. Like my husband. You wish you had a husband like Ross. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, okay, what are we supposed to do with that, Sanya? Again, this is what I was talking about. Sanya becomes all playful with it. And she's like, oh, you wish that you had a husband like mine. You wish that you had a husband like me. And I'm like, again, I wish that she would have actually took it serious and then maybe addressed the issue. Like, you obviously were bothered by it, but now you want to be all playful about it because you know that if you confront Kenya head on here in person, she's going to embarrass you again in front of everybody here at the dinner table. And that's probably what Sanya, that's probably what stops her, because she's probably afraid of that. So, all right. So then the next question is, okay, so what would you do if you and your friend planned out a party and you were supposed to split it, the budget together, and all of a sudden she's like, oh, well, no, I don't want to do it, so you're going to pay all full of it. Sheree, she's acting like the question isn't about her. Just like Sanya, she's standing to the side like, who's this friend? Eventually, Sheree's like, look, I know you're talking about me. I have a whole, thing, a fashion show to plan out or whatever, and I already spent millions of dollars or whatever. Fuck, not millions. I already spent thousands on it or whatever, so I can't be affording you right now. I can't be paying you back. And I'm like, Sheree, okay, that's nobody's problem. You and Drew came up with this idea together, and now you want to just, backtrack or whatever. So then Sheree's like, okay, so I have invitations for everybody, and I'm like, okay, let's see what they look like. And there's these little boxes, right? She gives everybody a box. They open it up, and it's like, I believe the invitation, the location, the time, everything. And then inside, there's like a little plate, like a little bunch of clothing, right? Like that you put on dolls or whatever. And I'm like, how did she do that? Like, did that come from Alaska as well? Like, obviously she got those clothing pieces together for the invitation, but her actual clothing pieces that she needs for the fashion show, they're nowhere to exist. So they're looking at it, they're like, oh, this is cute. I actually personally thought the invitation was cute. Kandi, on the other hand, she's like,
I don't really understand how Sheree could afford little invitations like this, but she can't really afford fashion for her fashion show. I don't understand. Maybe she should start making clothes for Barbie.
And I'm like, you know what, Kandi? That's actually a good idea. The way she said it, I'm like, huh. I could actually see Kandi, or even Sheree, but mostly Kandi, coming out with her own doll line. It would be cool if the whole Housewives of Atlanta, if they all came together and they were like, okay, let's put out this merchandise, and it could be like a bundle of like dolls, and they could all look like us. Like, for example, Kandi's doll could have two different outfits. One could be a regular to-go outfit. The other could be like a leather latex outfit and a bag of money. And a microphone. Marlo's doll, it could come with 2 different Fendi jackets, a pair of high heels, and 3 different credit cards belonging to 3 different men. Let's see. Drew, her doll, it could come with her, a microphone since she sings here and there, a nice little, outfit or whatever. And then on the box, it could say husband not included because he's sometimes in Tampa. So you have to buy that in Florida. And Ralph, he could have his own, Ken doll for himself or whatever. And, like a bag of luggage. And so on. I think it'll be such a cute idea. I think Kandi was onto something. I kind of like the idea. Sheree then drops the bomb on them and she's like, yeah, I don't really have any fashion for my fashion line next week, but I have invitations. I'm like, oh, Sheree. So everybody starts freaking out because she told them that she invited 100 people to this fashion event with no fashions. And they're like, Sheree, what is going on here? How are we going to show up to this place? And what are we going to look at? Like dirt, grass? Like, what's going on? Kenya, she throws Sheree right underneath the bus. And she's like, yeah, can y'all believe that Sheree, she actually spent $1 million for this whole event? Sheree, she was quick to backpedal. And she's like, no, $1 million? No, I never spent $1 million. What are you talking about? Where did she hear that from? No, that's crazy. She must be drinking something. Absolutely not. And Sheree's biggest enemy on the show is not Drew. It's not Sanya. It's not even Kandi or Kenya. It's those flashbacks. Because we flashback to earlier in the episode when she was with Rowan and Kenya. And she told Kenya word for word, yeah, I almost spent $1 million on this event. So Sheree, which one is it? Because we have you on camera saying this. So what's going on? But she then looks over at Drew's mom. And, Drew's mom is a pastor. And she's like, Drew's mom, do you think that you could, do a prayer or something for my fashion line? Drew's mom is looking at her like, yeah, no, prayer doesn't make clothes exist. I'm like, damn, she's probably looking at Sheree like, don't involve me and my religion in this bullshit. I'm just here for food. Then we see Sheree heading over to this coffee shop to meet up with somebody. So she's sitting there. All of a sudden, we see this car pull up. This dramatic music plays. And then all of a sudden, we hear all these inspirational quotes in the background. Like, oh, don't forget to brush your teeth every single day. Take a shower. Change your underwear. And I'm like, okay, what's happening here? Next thing you know, Apollo himself comes out the car. And I'm like, did we really need those inspirational quotes? And I believe it was him saying them, too. I'm like, since when was Apollo inspirational? But okay, so he comes out and Apollo, he's always been sexy, but he is just so sexy. And I'm like, no, Rafael, snap out of it. He's toxic. Stop it. So he shows up, he's sitting there in front of Sheree, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Why are they meeting up? And first of all, why do they even know each other to this very day? Sheree comes to find out, oh, yeah, me and Apollo, we've been friends for 10 years. We've always been friends. And I'm like, since when though? Because even in the flashback, I don't know, none the relationship between them, it didn't really give me like, oh, we're best friends or, we're really close to each other. But okay, so whatever. So Apollo, for anybody who doesn't know, he is Phaedra's ex-husband. Phaedra used to be on the Housewives of Atlanta before she got the boo on season 9 because of the whole situation with Kandi, but now Apollo's back, right? So I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. And is it me or there was some type of, sexual tension between both Apollo and Sheree? I don't know. Their chemistry together was just so cute. Sheree, she was kind of blushing. She was just like, hey, Apollo. Hey, yeah, so I wanted to ask you a question. Like, it was so cute. I'm like, wait a minute. Sheree, I could kind of see you and Apollo being together. Drop Martell and get with Apollo. Well, maybe not Apollo because who knows what he's been up to now, but she goes on to ask him, so Apollo, are you willing to be in my She Might Not Happen by Sheree clothing line fashion show with no fashions next week? Are you willing to model in it? Apollo's like, I don't know. How much are you paying me? Sheree's like, I'm not paying you anything. Apollo's like, okay, I'm down. So Sheree's like, yes, finally. Apollo's the perfect person to be in my modeling show. He's modeled all his life. He's been in so many modeling gigs. And I'm like, since when? I mean, the last thing I seen him promote was the thing with him and Phaedra, the workout thing, the video. But other than that, what modeling has Apollo done? Hasn't he been in jail this whole time? But okay, so whatever. So then Sheree, she moves on to her next point. She's like, Apollo, I also wanted to meet up with you because I have been having issues with my relationship with Tyrone. And I'm like, out of all people, you want to talk to Apollo about this? But okay, apparently they're best friends, right? So she goes on to say, yeah, we were supposed to meet up at this cafe in Philly, but then he left me there for 15 hours outside. Production had to come and tell me, look, our equipment has no more battery. We've been charging it all day. He's not showing up. We have to shut it down. We have to go. And he really embarrassed me, Apollo. Like, I don't know what else to do. Apollo then makes the whole conversation about Phaedra, his ex-wife. He's like, well, when I went to jail, Phaedra, she wasn't there for me the same way that Tyrone wasn't there for you. She kind of left me out there in the dust. She left me there for dead, and she just didn't care about what I was going through. And I'm like, Apollo, we have to remember, but then again, it does take two to tango, and I'm pretty sure that Phaedra, her hands aren't squeaky clean either, allegedly. But, Apollo, we all have our choices. We don't know. Oh, you did what you did to end up there, and that was that. And you can't just blame Phaedra, or at least put all the blame on her without hearing her part as well. This is why I feel like Bravo is trying to low-key, trying to sneak Phaedra back onto the Housewives of Atlanta, because now we get Apollo. First we got Phaedra on Dubai Housewives, and then we got her on Ultimate Girls Trip. I don't know, I feel like her return is coming in the nearby future. Sheree goes on to tell him, yeah, I need to cut all the toxic out of my life, and Tyrone is toxic. He's just bad energy. I need to focus on me and me only. And I'm like, Sheree, what you need to be focused on is next week. Your She by Sheree clothing line. That's what you need to be worried about. And leave Tyrone in the dust, even though he shows up next episode. I'm curious to see how she handles that. That's what you need to be worried about. If you weren't worried about Tyrone for all these years, who knows where She by Sheree could have been? In the dumpster. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, you could have been miles ahead of where you are now if you weren't so focused on Tyrone, somebody who doesn't care about you, allegedly, you know, at least from what it shows. But, you know, that was that. She goes on to tell Apollo, that's that. I need to cut the toxic out of my life. And I'm like, Sheree, if you want to date Apollo, just say that. At least that's what it felt like she was alluding to. Like, she was about to ask him on a date. Like, yeah, I really need something, you know, that will really, you know, help me better in life and stuff. And, you know, help me cut out all the toxic in my life. And I'm like, Sheree. You know, then again, I don't blame her, but, you know, that was that. Next week, we shall see what comes about this whole She by Sheree line. Again, I'm rooting for Sheree. Hopefully it's good. I'm there to support, and I'll be there in attendance through, you know, virtual, at least through watching the TV. But what is everybody else wearing to the fashion show? Just out of curiosity, so I could get my outfit ready. But let me know what you all thought about this episode down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.